Hello.
Hello. I see everybody is here. This is like I feel like color purple and Celie. I's here. I's
I know. Well, how fitting for the weight loss show, right? That we would have
here.
technical difficulties because nothing ever goes like as planned on your weight loss journey. So I'm like, all right, it's just how it rolls. We just roll with it.
We gonna make it happen. Thank you all for saying. I see you all are lining up. Thank you all for staying. This is the inaugural. This is the flagship. This is the program for Embrace You Hot Topics in Weight Loss with Dr. Sylvia. We are so excited to have this program, and I see you are too. So I see you already lining up there in the comment section. So a couple of quick things. Number one, let us know where you're watching from. So Gina, Laurentine Kirkland Echoes, let us know where you're watching from all over the world. Let us know. Number two, if you know somebody that needs this information, and I know we all can touch somebody that needs this information, tag them, share this on your page so we can get this out to as many people as possible. And then finally, if you've got any questions, we're going to get as many questions asked and answered today. But also remember, we're going to be here every week. This is beginning every Friday, 12 noon. Today we're starting a little bit late.
Every other Friday.
Every other Friday. Right. I got too excited. I'm like, oh, we need to have.
He got excited. He's trying to pull me in. I want to be able to keep up with y'all.
So that's right. Every other Friday, first and third Friday here on blackdoctor.org, we've got Dr. Sylvia at Embrace You Hot Topics in Weight Loss. So you didn't come over here and hear me talk. So take it away, Dr. Sylvia.
Well, hello. Happy Black History Month, beautiful people. And yes, I am talking to you because everyone is uniquely beautiful. So I'm Dr. Sylvia Boley. If you do not know me, I'm an integrative body, mind, spirit bariatrician specializing in transformative body, mind, and spirit weight loss through personalized metabolic tools and total wellness strategies. And so having lost 40 pounds myself and kept most of that off for about 8 years now through lifestyle changes, I know that weight loss is not just all about the facts. I'm a science nerd. I love the facts. I love the data, but there's also a lot of emotion to it, right? So here on Embrace You, and I'm super excited, as Mr. Ellis said, about our first inaugural show. I just want you to know the purpose of this place is to be a safe space where you can discuss the facts and the feelings behind weight loss and how to lose weight and keep it off, because we all know that keeping it off is really the hard part, right? And so that's what we'll be doing. And so every 2 weeks, we'll be here talking about that while still giving you tips to lose weight and embracing yourself. And so we'll be here, and I look forward to this journey with you. So for today's first hot topic, I don't know if you saw it, but I saw it. Somebody sent it to me yesterday. My girl, Missy Elliott, yes, she is my girl. We're friends in my head, okay? She's my girl, had a miraculous weight loss. So that's the hot topic I want to talk about, Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, I was like, look, can she work it? I'm trying to figure out, what is Missy doing? And I've seen her, like, we're not friends either. Like, in my mind, we're friends because when
We're
I saw
friends.
I saw her out in Atlanta. I live in Atlanta, so I saw her out in Atlanta, and I was like, oh, there goes Missy Elliott. And I was like, you try to like browse close enough to her, like, but I didn't know what to say, so I didn't say anything. But yes, and I'm sorry, she looks great. She looks fantastic. And but we need to kind of talk about that weight loss journey and what does that mean?
Exactly.
For her and for you potentially in your weight loss journey as you're watching this program.
Absolutely. So we're going to be talking about hot topics, but all throughout this, we're really going to be bringing about how can you personalize it to you, because weight loss is not one size fits all. Everybody's journey is unique, hence embrace you. And I just want to say, Mr. Ellis, you're a lot cooler than I am, because had I seen Missy this year, so you are a lot cooler than I am. My sister, I know she's watching. She know I act the hot mess. I'd be so excited when I see people. I know I'm that person. All right, but I digress. So anyhow, so I want to just say, like, as a lifelong music lover, my dad was a DJ. I'm from Atlanta, also from the A, LaFace Records, the Outkast, all of them. We love music. And Missy is one of my faves because she is multi-talented, and I'm super excited that she's getting her flowers. Everybody's talking about the weight loss, but Homegirl's about to be inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is super exciting, right? But people are really talking about her weight loss because the IG reel, we saw her in those Valentino heels, that cat suit, skin glowing, popping. Okay, I digress. All right. But the first thing, the comments were like wild about her dramatic weight loss. People want to know what she did, want to do it like her and everything. But people just jumping into Missy's story may not realize that she actually had a medical condition that she's been grappling with. Actually, too, if you want to
Mhm.
talk about it, she had Graves' disease, which is an autoimmune thyroid condition. So I'm going to talk a bit about that. And one of the symptoms of that is weight changes, specifically weight loss, right? And so now I want to say too, Missy, because it is an autoimmune disease, meaning there's inflammation to it, she also made some major lifestyle changes that helped too with this journey. So she cut out the junk food. She started doing T25 with my boy Shanti. Like, that's my other imaginary friend. So like she started doing these things too so that she could actually get the weight loss. So today, let's talk about it. And throughout our whole Embrace You journey, because this is what I do in my Embrace You program in the book, is that body, mind, spirit approach. Let's talk about
Mhm.
body, mind, spirit, weight gain triggers in Missy's journey and how addressing them could lead to weight loss. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to go through the body weight gain trigger for her, which was the thyroid disease, the mind, which and Missy is very open about her mental health condition. She has a history of anxiety disorder, which can be associated with weight gain and weight changes as well. And then the spiritual part, because my girl Missy, I love her IG. It's so positive. Talks a lot about releasing negative people and negative comparison. So that's how we're rolling today. What do you think about that?
I think it's fantastic. I love that. The body, mind, spirit, because all of those things are integrated into our weight loss journey. And I've been on my own here, not as dramatic, but I really have been trying to lose weight. And there is a lot of that comes into it. You think, it's particularly when you're younger, right? When you're younger, weight just falls off. Like you just lose weight. Like, oh, it's no problem. But as we get older, our metabolism slows down and
Mhm.
it becomes harder. And then when it's harder to lose weight, that starts to mess with your mind. Wait a minute, I can't just go play a couple of full court games of basketball and drop 5, 10 pounds. Like, no, that's not the way it works anymore. And so you have to put some effort into it. You have to put some effort into changing your diet, and you don't like it, and all of the mental anguish that comes into that. So I love how you phrase it in terms of putting all of those things together in order to not only lose weight, but to keep it off when you do lose
Absolutely. And you just hit a lot of triggers right there. Like, so age is just one of them, right? Like, once we go past the age of 35, if you don't change anything about your lifestyle habits, even if you're doing the same stuff you did when you were younger, on average, you're going to gain between 1 to 5 pounds per year. Like, so that's science. And most of that muscle is going to start to get converted to fat. You're going to lose muscle, gain more fat. Not get
it.
converted, but you're going to lose muscle, gain fat. So it's so important. Hey, Dr. Tina, I see some people checking in. Hey, Sandra, hey, Barbara, good to see y'all. All right, let's get to this point number one, because Mr. Ellis told me I can't be on here all day. And you know I like he said I can't be on here all day. Okay. So let's talk about the number one is thyroid disease. So for those who don't know, let's make it real basic. Your thyroid is a little gland that's located here in your neck. If you feel it, you could kind of feel it. It feels like a butterfly in your neck here. And it is small but mighty. It's a powerhouse for your body's metabolism and weight regulation is what people think. It does a lot of things, though. It also affects the heart, it affects your eyes, all types of things. So thyroid dysfunction, especially as a bariatrician, this is something we're always staying privy to and screening for because it can be associated with weight changes and specifically with the disease of obesity, which is a disease where your body accumulates too much body fat that leads to inflammation and fat mass disease. So with the disease of obesity, usually hypothyroid, so an underactive thyroid is what is associated with that. But Missy, that's not what she had. She had Graves' disease. So, as I mentioned, that's an autoimmune disease. And if you want to think about autoimmune, what that means is your body's immune system, instead of fighting outside stuff like it's supposed to, like fighting viruses, fighting illnesses and colds, it starts to automatically attack itself. So specifically in Graves' disease, it's making these little antibodies that are actually starting to attack the thyroid gland receptors and cause it to produce a lot of thyroid hormone. And so in Graves' disease, you're usually going to get hyperthyroidism. So you get a lot of the active thyroid disease. So now what does this do? So I want you to think about, so when you're hypothyroid and it's low, it's going to slow you down and expand you out. Okay, think about hypo in general terms. All right, it's everyone's different. Embrace you, right? But in general terms, and then for hyperthyroidism, what it's going to do is going to rev your metabolism up. So you're going to may start to feel a rapid heartbeat. You might start to have like difficulty regulating your temperature. You will see, because the thyroid is being stimulated, you'll see a growth, a goiter in your neck as well. And then it starts to attack the muscles, and you see the eyes. We get ophthalmos or thyroid eye disease, and your eyes may start to bulge out. You also, of course, what everyone will be talking about is the weight changes, right? You'll get hair loss too, is another thing that women will see. So but the weight changes, and usually since your thyroid gland is being activated, you're going to be losing weight, right? So that's why I say some of the weight loss could have been part of her illness. And this is another important point why I wanted to talk about this, because I feel like our society has adapted this weight loss at all costs, and weight loss is always great. But sometimes people actually have diseases that can be causing them to lose weight. So we need to be very careful when we start comparing ourselves to other people and wanting to do what they did to lose weight without knowing their story. Everybody's journey is different, and everybody's weight gain triggers are different as well. So just want to make sure that we think about that part as well.
Like hypo and hyper, that's something, because I always hear that, that was always kind of one of those things, kind of colloquialisms that you hear in the communities. Oh,
Mhm.
I got a thyroid problem, right? And that was it. Like it, but didn't really understand what that meant. So that was a great explanation about the differences. One can make you gain weight, and one can make you lose weight. Um, what triggers? Do we know what triggers that thyroid kind of going out of whack or out of balance?
Well, so like I said, with the hyperthyroidism, that's an autoimmune disease. So your body's actually making antibodies, TRA antibodies, that are going to be stimulating the thyroid gland to then produce more thyroid hormone. With hypothyroidism, it could also be autoimmune as well. But in that case, those antibodies are actually, there's a condition called Hashimoto's, is the most common one, and so those ones are actually causing your thyroid gland to shut down. So they'll have the opposite symptoms. You'll be very tired, very fatigued. And again, when you think hypo, I want you to just think slow, like slow, everything slows down. The metabolism slows
Right.
down. You start to expand a little bit more. So think it's the opposite. Whereas hyper, if you think it's like going, 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 gotta get it. And that's going to rev you up and then cause your body to lose more weight in that case. But I
How
do
did
want
they
to go
screen?
ahead.
I'm sorry. How did they screen for that?
Oh,
Hypo
so
and
screen for blood tests.
okay.
So blood tests. So people coming in with classic symptoms, and that's why I say when we talk about, like, I use a phrase I don't think is common now in the mainstream, but I hope it will be. That's why we're doing the Embrace You show, right? Like, it's about weight gain triggers, right? Because often people just think, okay, when someone's gaining weight or losing weight, is calories in versus calories out. It's not just that. There are like over 100 things that can influence it. So really what we're talking about right now are the biological triggers that cause your body to either gain weight or lose weight. And so when you come in to see someone, a bariatrician like myself, or an integrative bariatrician as well, we're going to do an in-depth screening, and even your primary care may do this screening as well, but just check your thyroid hormone. So we check something called the TSH, or your thyroid stimulating hormone, which is going to check like indirectly the function of the thyroid. And then we'll also check the levels of the circulating thyroid hormones. There's several of them, but the main ones that can be checked are your T4 and your free T3, which is the active hormone. And we're going to get real technical and nerdy. But it's so y'all let me know. This is Embrace You. So don't let me just be lecturing you like a science professor. Like, say what if this is helpful, if you have more questions. But but it's important, because I think people throw this around a lot, like you said, Mr. Ellis, and we need to understand for ourselves in the community. If you think you have thyroid disease because you're having any of these symptoms, getting the right testing is important. Now, some of my naturopathic colleagues, they will check an even more extensive panel than what we Western or allopathic MD doctors will do. So they might check 11 factors for hormone function, thyroid hormone function as well. But in general, just starting with the basic screening can be helpful for your test. And the other thing I want to say here, just so we don't only talk about the thyroid disease, because I want to give Missy her flowers. It's all about giving her flowers today, all right, to the queen, because once she found out she had this condition, and I want to point out that autoimmune conditions are inflammatory, right? It's increased inflammation in the body, right? So the foods we eat can either fuel more inflammation or it can help to heal our body. So Missy also used food as medication. She very openly said she got rid of all the junk food,
Mhm.
soda, like all of those things are really inflammatory to the body. Only drink water and while eating clean. And so that was really helpful. She also started moving her body. Remember, I told you that the extra fat tissue is inflammatory as well. So she started doing one of my favorite workouts. This is actually what I did when I had started my 40-pound weight loss journey back 8 years ago, is with Mr. Shanti. Whoop, whoop, Rockin' Body Focus T25. That's how he does it. So she did the Focus T25, and that'll get you right because it's like it's HIIT, so high intensity interval training, and
Right.
it's less than 30 minutes per workout, and you work the whole body. So you build muscle, you do that cardio as well. Now, I do want to say, especially if you have a medical condition like thyroid disease, you need to check with your doctor before beginning some sort of rigorous exercise program, because thyroid disease does impact the muscles. And so you want to make sure that you're not just going real hard, so that you can gradually start your program and make sure your levels are at a right level that you can do that.
Also, make sure that before you just jump into that first HIIT class, and could I tell you, I take it, I take at least one a week. You got to work your way up for that. Okay, so work with your doctor, see what's comfortable for you, and then build your way up. Don't just jump in that and then have a poor result, because we're going to talk about that again in terms of the anxiety and then how that all
Mhm.
that messes with your head. So because I promise I struggled. I first thing I said, man, I should be able to do these in my sleep. I do this and do that, and I got in there, I couldn't do it
Yeah.
more, and that messed with my head a little bit. As somebody who thought it was pretty athletic when I was younger, but as I got older, I was like, oh, I can't do the same things I used to, and that can also mess with you a little bit in terms of how you approach exercise, movement, and eating and working out and all that whole process. So give yourself some grace and approach it, and take everything incremental baby steps. I promise you.
Yeah, be kind to yourself. And it's not fair to hold yourself to the standard when you were 18. Anymore. It's not fair because you've changed. And just to put it a little bit in the science, is like within 2 days of not working out, your muscles actually start to decondition. So imagine if you've gone like a week, 2 weeks, 2 months, a year, whatever amount of time is, and you're not working out at that level, your muscles have deconditioned, the memory's not the same. So you do have to rebuild and gradually give your body time to adjust. So that's great. I love that you mentioned point number 2, right? So talking about what mental or psychological triggers for weight gain are there. And Missy has another great example of this too, because she shares how she battles with anxiety. Actually, in 2019, she shared in an article that right before the 2015 Super Bowl performance, y'all remember that? She did a great
Mhm.
job. Yep, she came out with Katy Perry, but she was hospitalized for an anxiety attack. And so this
Mhm.
is something she's dealt with on and on. So anxiety, if people aren't familiar with it, it's a then we say it's a mental health condition, but mental health is physical health is health. Like health is health, right? You know what I'm saying? Like it
Right.
affects them. It may start in the mind, but it has physical symptoms as well. But anyhow, and we're talking about the weight loss part of it. So, but some of the symptoms you might see are excessive worrying, overthinking, fear, and it can be caused by emotions or but even by medical conditions. And I want to say that thyroid disease in and of itself can cause anxiety. And so there again, we have that body, mind, spirit connection, right? Where it's not just a psychological thing, but it's actually there's an interplay between what's going on in the body and what's going on in the mind. And when it comes to your weight, high stress levels can trigger anxiety, and anxiety can trigger stress. And stress is like, if you want to fuel your fat cells, if you want to fuel your fat, if you want to like, I just want to see how much weight I can get, just like stay stressed out. Let your stress level, your cortisol level be high for like a week, 2 weeks. I assure you, for most people, because there's always going to be that one, there's always that person. I lose weight when I'm stressed. Okay, great. That's your story. But for most people, high levels of untreated stress are going to be associated with weight gain. And that's because, again, we're talking about inflammation. We're talking about that high cortisol level. And then also we're talking about like your insulin sensitivity, which we talked about in the diabetes talk earlier this week. So it's really important to control that stress level. And I just actually posted on my IG, like I have a whole chapter in the Embrace You book about stress and how to release stress, right? Because is so important. So I posted a reel, like a little carousel, giving you 3 ways to reduce your stress now. Like, this is what you can do to reduce your stress now. And because we, especially as Black people, carry around way too much stress and think that it's normal. Normal is not always positive. Normal is not always healthy. So we have to be able to come up with effective ways to deal with stress, deal with anxiety, because it weighs on you.
Yeah, I looked up the definition of anxiety. It is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease, typically about an imminent event or something with an uncertain outcome. And then I would add, from a mental health perspective, the word unreasonable, right? Because that's when we really start to get it. Because you can have anxiety about, oh, I got this, I got that, and then that subsides. But when it becomes unreasonable, when it gets to a point where it's impacting your social, occupational functioning, that's when we get to the point where it's diagnosable, to where the point where, like, Missy is hospitalized. That anxiety about, because we all, before we perform, I had anxiety before coming on this show. I have anxiety before coming on every show that I do, because we want to be able to deliver the best content to you. However, when it becomes unreasonable, when it gets to the point where it's starting to impair your ability to function, that's when it becomes diagnosable. And that's when we really have to work on ways to lower it, because it can have a significant impact on our physical well-being.
Absolutely. And I like to call it, I say anxiety is the side effect of success, right? Like, what makes you successful, high functioning, able to get a lot of stuff done. When you can't turn that off, it manifests as anxiety, right?
Yes.
Because the very same trait. So every strength has a downside to it that you have to learn how to navigate with it. So no shame here. And that's another thing. There's so much stigma, right, around talking about mental health. And that's one thing Missy talks about, is like in the 90s when she first came out, no artists were talking about mental health. And so she kind of she dealt with this before performances and everything, and she couldn't talk about it until like now in 2000s with social media. Like, she and Cardi B just had this exchange on Twitter talking about their anxiety, and that helped, like, what was it, almost 200,000 people like that. So it's great we're having these discussions and finding ways to release it if you can handle. But if you can't handle it, get with the professional. I have a therapist. I'm no shame in it. She's on speed dial if I need her, right? Because she'll get my mind right so that I can come out here and say, okay, if the computer's not working, it's okay. So, like, you have those places that you can go, those safe spaces that you can talk about. So, third trigger, because I see the time, and it is release negative comparison. Okay. So when we talk about spirit here, I need to, since this is the first show, I want to talk to you about. So your spirit is your innermost being of who you are, your essence, your soul, that part that lives deep within you and that needs to be nourished. And I talk about spiritual wellness in the terms of the 4 C's. So the 4 C's are connection with God, self, others, in nature, your environment around you, community. Where do you feel like you belong? Who's your tribe? Who pours into you? Where you feel so that's a key to your spiritual well-being. And then creativity. How do you like? Do you feel like you're using your gifts? You may not be someone who draws or paints. A lot of times we have very rigid, but how do you feel like you're using your gifts and contributing to the world? And then charity. And a lot of us are great, especially at women, giving. But how are you receiving? Are you allowing people to pour back into you? And are you around people who want to pour back into you? So there again, that community and reciprocity. So those are the 4 C's of spiritual wellness and of spirit well-being. So when we talk about it throughout this show, that's what I'm referring to. So one of the things Missy talks about is releasing negative comparison and releasing negative people. First of all, I want to say weight loss is not one size fits all. Look, soundbite that. Like it's everyone's journey is different. Embrace you. So no one really knows your story, nor no one else's. Like I love Missy's song "Gossip Folks," right? With that she does with Luda, represent the A. Okay, but anyway, so she says, like it starts off by saying, "Girl, that Missy Elliott, she's lost a lot of weight, and I
Yeah.
heard she's eating one cracker a day." Like she's just playing on
Yeah.
what people say. So people are always going to have something to say without knowing the full story. So the best thing that you could do, which she says in one of her IG posts, is like stay focused. Stay focused on your journey, on
Yeah.
you. And I know it's so hard because there's so much noise out there and there's people that are going to be into, and that's why you have to really narrow that community. Missy said, make it as small as a polka dot, like a little polka dot. Make it as small as a freckle, like make it really small. I say make it as small as a freckle. I got a lot of polka dots. So like, so we want to make it really, really small, so that you are around those people that are going to pour into you and nurture you. Embrace your uniqueness. Like even if you have an identical twin, let me tell you, there's something different about the two of you. So we are all unique. And then please, y'all, I would be remiss, even though this is spiritual session, this is section, if I didn't say, please stop jumping from diet to diet, program to program, based on somebody else. Okay. Give yourself a chance to win. Give yourself time in your own time. It took years for this weight to come on, and it's going to take, the body does not want to lose it because the body favors fat. The body thinks fat is good. We were made to store fat because there was no refrigerator back then, there was no drive through back then. So we needed to have these fat cells for times of famine, for times of a pandemic, a global pandemic where we don't know if the world's going to survive or not, when the stores are out of tissue paper, like we think where the world is coming to, like we needed to have that. So you want to give yourself time, and time, if I'm going to put it in scientific perspective, is that it's going to take you months to lose about 5% of your weight loss. It's going to take you time. So you need to give yourself enough time for it. So just going to land here by saying comparison can lead to negativity. Negativity is toxic to your spirit, it's toxic to your stress levels, and it makes weight loss harder. Okay. And so Missy said it best when she said, let go of negative Nancy. You got to stay focused so you don't get knocked off.
How about that?
I know I started preaching. I put my
Look, I was right there with you. I was right there with you because you're absolutely right. And really, I know I keep talking about age, but it is a big factor in terms of
Mhm.
how your metabolism impacts. And so when you're talking about losing weight, you cannot compare it. And so embracing you, which is, I love the concept. I love it because you can't look at somebody else's weight loss journey and then start to feel bad about your personal one, because that's their journey. You don't know what's going on with them, how they're doing it. And then you try to ask them, well, how did you do it? And you try to do that. And you start diet jumping, and it doesn't really work. And now you're not getting any results at all because your body doesn't know what to do or how to react. So really it's important and I've been reading this book called Atomic Habits, and it's
Mhm.
really about how you develop habits that are sustainable over time. Because how many of us, I'll raise my hand, have tried to start something, you try to build a new habit and then you stop it and you go back to what you did before. And it's really because you're looking for immediate results for something that didn't, as Dr. Sylvia talked about, that didn't come on immediately. You didn't put on 60 pounds immediately. So why do you think you're going to drop it immediately? It doesn't work. And so what we're trying to do, what the book says is, do those things that you can do every single day, add it to it, add a reward, a small reward to it, do it every single day. When you don't do it, give yourself some grace on that, reset, and go back to doing it. And then over time, we're looking for the accumulation of of the habits over time versus I did this for a whole week and why am I, only lost, I didn't lose anything. Well, try 2 weeks, try 2 months, try 3 months, and then judge then. So it really is, it's a great book. I encourage you to get it. I'm not getting an endorsement from it, but it's a fantastic book and it helps reframe your thinking about the habits that we're trying to form when we're trying to eat better, exercise, or lose weight.
Yeah, well, Mr. Ellis, I like Atomic Habits. It's actually listed as my mindset meals in my book. My show, my book. I like James Clear, but so my book, I start with actually saying, no, I was seriously, but what you're getting at is that perfectionism, right? We want to be perfect. We do that all or none yo-yo bouncing back. And that's why actually in the preface of Embrace You, Your Guide to Transforming Weight Loss Misconceptions into Lifelong Wellness, which is my best-selling book, which is Healthline.com's best overall weight loss book for the past 2 years. So 2022 and 2023, why I start that chapter by talking about release. Every chapter starts with a mindset shift. And we're going to do one here before we leave. So it starts with release perfectionism and embrace your progress. And so if each day you just say that I'm progressing towards my goal, even if all I did was drink some more water today, even if all I did was, instead of sitting on the couch all day, thank glory, I got up for 1 minute and walked up and down the stairs, you have done something. So it's really celebrating your progress, celebrating those little wins. And like Mr. Ellis said, and they talk about in Atomic Habits, which are just forming small habits and micro goals, is looking at the accumulation over time. And it's so important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I'm excited about getting to this mindset shift, and I was so excited about getting to it. I even created just a small video to talk about it.
Ooh, look at you, fancy.
There we go. We are there. We're going to move into the mindset shift. I'm looking.
So mindset is key, y'all. So every show, what we're going to do is we will have a mindset shift that I want you to embrace as you go through, because as the wise women of In Vogue said, free your mind and the rest will follow, right? So and that's why I do start each chapter of the Embrace You book that way as well. So as I was thinking about everything we talked about today, what is the mindset shift that you really need from here? We talked about releasing perfectionism, embracing your progress, but really I think it is releasing that negative comparison. When you're comparing yourself to somebody else, you start beating yourself up, like, this is how you know it's negative. Like, positive comparison may be, okay, I see their weight loss transformation, I feel inspired, I'm going to make some positive changes. But if that little voice starts saying, why can't you do it like they did it? You'll never stay consistent. You need to work harder. You're just lazy. Ooh, if you start hearing that, it is time to release that negativity and remember that you don't know their story, right? And plus, it really doesn't matter. Not that it doesn't matter to them, but what matters is your unique journey. So I want to close with this mindset shift: release negative comparison and embrace your unique journey. Choose to embrace yourself and get the support you need on your personalized journey. So that's our mindset shift. Release negative comparison, embrace your unique journey.
Yeah, I got to do better on that, because I promise you, I'm a benchmarking idiot, right? And look, oh, my friend's doing this person's doing that, he's got this, he's got that. And like, you can do that to death, right? You can
Yeah.
do that to the point where you drive yourself crazy. So I love that, releasing those negative comparisons, compare you and
Yeah.
what you're doing today, and work on you. And if you work on you, another book that I read, I love that.
We
Um,
need to have a book club. I love books. I read at least three.
I love them. I love them. And and it's an older book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective
Oh
People, right?
yeah.
And
Mhm.
so, begin with the end in mind is one of the 7 habits. And so you start that, and then work on things that you can control, right? And so I can only control how I feel about me and what I like, what I see in the mirror. So use those positive affirmations, get rid of that negative mindset, get it, try to get over those negative thoughts that swirl around in your head that really help hurt yourself physically and mentally. Get out of that and just really tell yourself some things. Say it out loud. I am a good person. I'm having a good day. Those type of things really add rhythm to your body, and they do have a great impact on your overall health.
Absolutely. And I do want to say, though, because we did talk about mental health, right? Like if you are struggling to think positively about yourself or to be able to release comparison, this can be a symptom of a mental health condition like generalized anxiety disorder, right? One of the thoughts is persistent negative thoughts. It could also be a symptom of major depressive disorder or depression. So it could also be residual from post traumatic stress disorder, from past traumas you've been through. So many things affect our thought life. So we need to be mindful also of this like toxic positivity, like just, and I'm all about it. Like here I have all these affirmations, all this stuff on my wall in front of me. But it's sometimes hard if you're trying to plant positive thoughts in soil that's been damaged, soil
Right.
that needs to be tilled, that
Right.
needs to pull out some of the trauma stuff. So that's when it's great to phone a friend, and that friend may need to be a professional, right? It could be a counselor,
Right.
if you are, but some people, and I'm a God girl, so people like, I only talk to my pastor. But sometimes you need to maybe check with a therapist who actually has tools like CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, that has
Right.
trauma skills, so that you can really get to the root cause, and so that you can grow and bloom those positive thoughts. So that's I think we have to remind people of that. And there's no shame if you're struggling feeling positively about yourself. And that's one thing I always make sure I get to the root of when I work one-on-one with people in Embracia.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely. All right. So let's
So,
let's recap. What did we learn today? We talked about mind, body, and spirit. So let's just run through it one more time so people can
okay,
do what.
okay. But wait a minute. Wait
Okay.
a minute. Miss Ellis, remember our wait a minute. I want to remind people that there are over 100 triggers for weight gain in the disease
Yes.
of obesity, not just calories in versus calories out. And so thyroid disease is one of them. Make sure you get a thorough medical evaluation and mental health evaluation if you're struggling with your weight. So that's my wait a minute for you today.
Absolutely. Yes. Please go see a doctor first before you start any weight loss journeys, because you want to be able to test for that thyroidism, hypo or hyper, because
Mhm.
that can be impacting the results. And then if you don't get the results, it could be something as simple as getting that checked. And so I realize you have an autoimmune disease, so like something could be very simple that could have a lasting impact on how we see ourselves. And so please go get that checked, and then work with somebody. Get you an accountability partner. They work really, really well in terms of somebody that's going to be encouraging and not discouraging, not fat shame you, not talk about, oh, you ain't doing this, you're not doing that, not the
Mhm.
negativity, but accountability partner that's really going to encourage you to be the best version of you today. And then you worry about tomorrow.
Yes, one day sufficient for today's troubles, right? Matthew, Matthew 6:33. It's gonna make me preach today. So, all righty, y'all. But so we have had a fantastic time today. Thank you for hanging out with us. Thank you, Clarissa Bonds. Thank you, Lorenza. Thank you, LaQuinn. Thank you, Dr. Keita. Everybody, Dr. Kendra, everyone who showed up was so excited from England, from Arkansas, from everywhere. So good to have you today. And we talked about Miss Missy Elliott. First of all, congratulations, Queen, on your Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction, and you are doing it fabulously. We talked about her weight loss journey, the body, mind, spirit triggers. So, body, that there was thyroid disease, had Graves specifically, which is an autoimmune disease, just reminding you to apply it to Embrace You, that you need to check for your own medical conditions that can be influencing your weight changes. And we also talked about how she then went on an anti-inflammatory protocol by getting rid of that junk food and those inflammatory foods, drinking a lot of water, and doing that hip movement and building her muscle. We then talked about, yes, can you work it? Okay, let's stop. Let's stop. Too much. Too much. You're not ready. First show. Rein it in. Professional doctor. Okay. So, so the second is the Ellis hypes me up. I cannot. I can't. So second, the second is the mental triggers. We specifically talked about how Missy has anxiety disorder, anxiety, high uncontrolled stress levels are triggers are like fuel for the fat cells, really, and it can lead to you having storing extra fat and not losing that weight the way that you need to. So really coming up with a plan for stress reduction and then specifically treatment for anxiety, which you may need professional support to do. And then last but not least, for the spiritual triggers, we talked about releasing negative comparison and really making sure that the people around you are fueling you with accountability that's based in love and not in negativity, and that you staying focused on yourself and your journey, not skipping around from place to place, because you are unique and your journey is unique. So that is what we talked about today. I'm Dr. Sylvia Foley. Thank you for rocking with me for my first show on BDO. I'm honored to be here. I'm an integrative bariatrician specializing in transformative body, mind, and spirit weight loss through personalized metabolic tools and total wellness. And this has been Embrace You, Hot Topics in Weight Loss, where you're going to get to the root cause of weight loss. And we're going to talk about the facts and the feelings of how to lose weight and keep it off while still embracing yourself. So I'll be back here with Mr. Ellis, God willing, the creek don't rise, in 2 weeks. All right. And in the meantime, what I want you to do is, if there's a topic you want to talk about, and I already got one because people have been sending me things, but if you want to talk about a topic, go ahead and DM me at EmbraceYouMD. I'm on all social media platforms, not just here on Facebook, but on Instagram, on Twitter, on Clubhouse. Go ahead and DM me what the topic you want to talk about or the question, and I'll integrate it into the show. Because again, Embrace You, this show is not about me. This show is about y'all and how can I help you. And in the meantime, connect with me at embraceyouweightloss.com. So there I have a freebie for you. There's a weight loss clarity quiz and a free ebook, 7 Mindset Shifts to Win at Weight Loss for Good.
So the website is scrolling across the bottom there, embraceyouweightloss.com. You see Embrace You MD on social media, all across social media platforms. Please follow her. And you see she's got a best-selling book. So go ahead and add to it. Get the book. It'll help. It'll help. It'll help. All this stuff. We
and
only got
atomic habits in it. Mm-hmm. Shade.
I felt it. I got to turn my light back on because there's too much shade in here. But that notwithstanding, please check it out and talk to Sylvia on social media. As you can see, this is going to be the most fun you have on any Friday. So we'll see how 2 weeks. Energy levels here. We're going to get you ready, prepared to start and be able to finish and continue on your weight loss journey. So please stick with us, stick with Dr. Sylvia, and you'll get what you need to be empowered, embraced, and equipped to be the best version of you.
Awesome. Bye, y'all. Have a wonderful week. I'll see you on the gram.